I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but like, I've been married for almost 20 years. We have 3 boys. I I don't know what we would do without like mom, right? And like it's not leadership in the sense like we're talking about, but I mean, I just see we have some amazing women leaders at Tithely. And I see it in my wife. I'm like God made women absolutely amazing. And I actually think like if we didn't have some of the women leaders at Tithely, if I didn't have like my wife, like things would fall apart, absolutely fall apart. And so it's just, I don't know, it's shocking that women in leadership is like even a thing because
Mm.
it should, I don't know,
Yeah,
it should just be more natural and easy. Like guys
I
should
think
see how awesome women are.
I'd like to clarify kind of early in the podcast here for anyone who's about to turn us off. I think my position on this, I come from leadership and training and development background. And
Yeah.
so I'm not taking on a theological position on this. What
Right.
I really am interested in is helping people live out their theology to the fullest. And a lot of what we discovered in our research is that it's not like there are two camps. One camp is for women and one camp is against women. We all want the body to be healthy and strong, and everybody loves and values women. We just have to be clear on how we're leading our cultures to make sure we're inviting women to the tables we want them to be at, that we're
Okay.
helping everyone, men and women, discover their gifts and live out their calling, and that we as church leaders are stewarding those callings and their impact in the kingdom through our local church to the best that we can and to get the most out of who God has brought us. These are people
Right.
are a form of resource, and a lot of times we just sort of leave money sitting on the back porch and we don't actually utilize it and multiply it for the kingdom. And so I'm on a mission to try and help churches think differently about how they live out their theology and make sure they're not missing accidentally a lot of who God has brought them to really advance their church and fulfill the mission God's given them.
Right. Yeah. No, I love that. Absolutely love that. You mentioned a little bit ago, and even as we were talking before, like, so there's, these roles or, women are getting into these roles. We've gone through some crazy times, but there's like new challenges that they might be facing,
Mm.
like stepping into those bigger leadership roles or, continuing on in that leadership role once they figure out what that actually means in their context. So like I don't know, what are some of the challenges that you've seen and how are you seeing churches work through those?
Right. So when I wrote my first published book called Developing Female Leaders in 2019, we were seeing just amazing movement. Like I kind of thought I was going to get, lambasted on social media and not invited anywhere to speak. And the exact opposite happened. I was so thrilled and proud of the body for wanting to embrace this conversation and sort of in fact, the tagline of the book is "Navigate the minefield." Right? It's a huge hot topic. It's difficult to talk about. It's personal. It's emotional. We all have different views on it, and we all know women who are passionate about it, which makes it sometimes harder to deal with.
Yeah.
And so, I was just so thrilled with how many churches embraced the best practices in the book, who wanted to move this conversation forward, who wanted to maximize the women God had brought them, who wanted the women in their own life, great, amazing pastoral leaders who wanted the women in their own life to have stronger places in ministry. And so that was really fun for a couple years, kind of till we all shut down and got sidetracked.
Yeah.
But it was really well received. And we had a lot of women get raises, be licensed for ministry, be acknowledged for the work and the leadership they had been giving for sometimes years that was under recognized. But as we started seeing doors open for women, as male teams were making room for women at some of the highest levels of leadership, women were taking those steps forward. And what I'm really seeing now is kind of the reality of what it's like when you're the first woman or the only woman in some of these leadership spaces. And it's hard sometimes to recognize if you haven't been the only or the first of something,
Hmm.
just the sort of emotional energy it requires and the amount of unaware bias or resistance or feeling left out or being left out or just not being a part of the team. We've all, I'm sure, been a part of a team, like the new person on the team. It's that times like 100. And so
Right.
I'm working a lot with women now because they're in these leadership roles and they're sort of asking the question, which I completely understand, which is like, I'm not really sure this is worth it. Like I thought it was going to be fun. I thought it was going to be great and kind of beyond the normal hardship of ministry, because ministry isn't always always easy. Teamwork
It's
isn't
hard, yeah.
always fun. There's conflict. It's hard work. We're in a very difficult time now, but it should be satisfying. It should feel safe. We should be able to show up and express our ideas. We should be able to leave work at the end of the day and not spend hours questioning what we did or what we said or what we didn't say. And
Mhm.
I just find that because most women who are ready to be leaders right now didn't grow up in a ministry system that was supportive and nurturing of their gifts and talents. They grew up in a professional leadership space, or they're new to leadership now. They don't always have the same kind of skill sets or tools in their toolbox that let them navigate those pieces that we experience on high level leadership teams. And so I'm working a lot more with women on how to step into those roles with confidence, how to use your leadership voice, how to figure out what your leadership voice is, how to know when you should stand up and really fight and advocate for something, and when is the time that you should hold back and not do that. It's very confusing, and women in today's world have a lot of pressure to, let your voice be heard. And I want women's voices to be heard if God is calling you to use your voice. But as Christians, we know, there were many times Jesus was quiet or silent or didn't defend himself or didn't speak up or didn't
Mhm.
advocate for someone, as much as there were times where he was called to do that. And so we
Right,
want to make sure we're not just going from one extreme, which is my voice is not welcome, to the other extreme, which is my voice must be heard everywhere I go all day long.
right.
Neither one of those are helpful nor godly and good in leadership. So we're all learning how to do that.